Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, we're talking about everything Snowflake. What is it? What's the hype about? The financial overview and my recommendation. Stay tuned. So what I realize is there is a lot of hype around this IPO, but not a lot of people actually knows what the company does. So I'm going to try to explain it to you guys the best way possible without boring you guys with all the computer science stuff. There are 6 main functions of what Snowflake is calling their cloud data platform. The first one I'll start with is their data warehouse, as that is their base business as well as what they started with initially. A data warehouse is just this big, gigantic storehouse for all of your data. And your data can come from multiple different sources. It really doesn't matter. And typically you use a data warehouse when you want to do reporting and analysis. So one way to think about a data warehouse is kind of like your kitchen, right? In your kitchen, you have cereal and milk and water and okay, that's all I have. But you might have more. And in this instance, your groceries is your data, and the kitchen that houses those groceries is your warehouse. And you can essentially go to the kitchen and say, hey kitchen, what can I have for dinner tonight based on my data? Now, that might have been a super simplified example, but imagine being a business with tons and tons and tons and tons of data. This could be very crucial because the thing with data, and when you analyze data, you can do 3 things, right? You can do well more than 3 things, but the main 3 things you can do, you can aggregate the data. So how many toilet paper was sold in March? A lot. Or trends, is this brand selling more than that brand? And that will tell a business whether or not to put the brand that's not selling as much on sale, perhaps, or maybe just stop producing that. And, or correlation. What is the correlation between diapers and beer? If you know, let me know in the comments. Here's a clip of an engineer at Square explaining to you guys how they've been able to use Snowflake for data analysis.
I've been with Square about 8 years. I am the head of the platform engineering team. Now we have unlocked the ability for all of the groups to perform new and different data analysis. It has helped us expand and grow the business. It has helped us to find insights that we never would have found with our on-prem data system.
The next thing is data lake. A data lake is kind of like a data warehouse, except that it has unformatted data. So kind of like in our kitchen example, you had cereal and milk. In a data warehouse, your cereal will be in a pantry, your milk will be inside the fridge. But a data lake is kind of like you went to the grocery store and then you just threw the bags in the kitchen and walked away. And I know that sounds bad, but sometimes companies just want a place to have their data. They don't necessarily need to process that data or do any analytics on that data. So in which case, they have it in a data warehouse. And when they're ready to process that data or do any analysis, then they move it to the data warehouse and do the analysis. Data science is pretty much referring to obviously your analytics, but machine learning as well as artificial intelligence. And this is actually really nice because a lot of part of the job is cleaning the data, but also figuring out where the data is, right? A lot of times you're gonna have data from multiple sources and believe me, it's a headache. But with Snowflake, you have all your data all in one place, and it's that one source of truth. So you don't have to worry about whether or not this is the correct or accurate data. And that really truly cuts down on a developer's time. And then last but not least is their data exchange, which is pretty much what it sounds like. It's just the ability to share data, whether it's across your organization or to your customers or vendors, but also a regular person. So if you were to create a Snowflake account, you can go to their, I think they're calling it data exchange, and you can look for particular sets of data. So let's say you needed data of Rona cases in your neighborhood. Potentially there's data of all cases, right? And then you can query that data and look specifically for data in your zip code. Nice. All right, so now that we know what Snowflake is and what is it that they do, what's with all the hype? Oh my God. So the hype comes from the fact that both Salesforce and Warren Buffett has decided to invest about $250,000 into the IPO. And as far as Salesforce goes, I mean, it's a CRM that deals a lot with data, and also they have Tableau, which is a visualization and analytics platform. So there's really no mystery there why Salesforce would invest in Snowflake. The real mystery is Buffett, like the value investor god himself. It's just very peculiar because Buffett is a person that teaches finding bargains and finding cheap stocks, and historically has never invested in IPOs or tech stocks in general, for that matter. So it's very interesting that he is investing into Snowflake. And honestly, my thought is it's probably not really Buffett himself. Berkshire Hathaway has other people that work there. Yes, it's a company owned by Buffett, but he does have other deputies, say Todd Combs, for example. So I'm willing to bet that it's probably one of his other deputies and not Warren specifically. But either way, it is Berkshire Hathaway, and that's something to take notice of. So now that we know what Snowflake is and what it does and what the hype is all about, let's look at their financial and see if it even warrants it. If you look at the fiscal year ending January 31st, 2019, which is actually 2018 numbers, you can see that Snowflake revenue was about $96 million. And then the next year, its revenue almost tripled at $264 million. That is an insane amount of growth. However, Snowflake is spending a lot of money in sales and marketing, about $293 million, which is more than their revenue. So that is a bit concerning. And when you couple that with the 105 in R&D and 107 million in G&A, we're looking at a loss of $358 million. But honestly, that's normal, especially in a tech company. And the other thing is they're doing an IPO, right? The whole idea of an IPO is to raise money. So no company just rolling in money is going to do an IPO. So a company being at a loss is kind of common. So the number one thing you have to look for is growth, right? In situations like that. And in the case of Snowflake, if you look at their growth, they've been able to increase their revenue quarter by quarter. I mean, like just this year, like their revenue increased by 120% or so, which is incredible. The true question is this something that's sustainable? Is Snowflake going to keep growing a year from now, 2 years from now, even 5, 10 years from now, right? What about its competition? There is still Amazon Redshift, and Google Cloud, I think, has BigQuery. I think the benefit that Snowflake has is a bit neutral, so it's able to read and write in Amazon and Google, which is nice, but at any point, Amazon can be like, I'm going to develop the same functionality. And let's be honest, Amazon is the type to do it. So at that point, does this affect their growth and revenue? So that's something to consider. So what's my recommendation? I do recommend the stock, but with reservation. And this is not a reservation on Snowflake. As a software engineer who deals a lot with data, I know how impactful Snowflake is. It's my reservation in IPO in general. I typically do not buy or recommend people to buy IPO, particularly on IPO day. I mean, right now there's a lot of hype. It's going to skyrocket. And not only that, there are restrictions for certain investors. So a lot of times it's like a 90 days restriction. So the stock will go up, and after those restriction periods are over, those investors will then sell all their shares and take their profit. And if you bought at the height of the market, then you're probably going to be left holding the bag. And I know this for a fact because I invested in Box IPO day of, at the top of the market. And then honestly, it's a very traumatic story. I don't want to get into it. But my point is, after that experience, I do not invest in IPO and IPO day. I typically try to wait 90 days, which is the 3-month period, or up to like 6 months, just to see how the company performs and look at other data. So I know some of you are going to buy it anyway. if you are going to buy it anyway, what I would say is just buy a small amount for now and then kind of like wait and see. But I genuinely do not recommend people buy day of. All right, that's it, guys. Let me know in the comment if you're going to buy Snowflake, whether it's during IPO day or any other day. Let me know. If you like this video, please like and subscribe if you haven't. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.